Oh, yeah. I got to do that whole thing.
Welcome to
Spinal Tap, episode 8.
So much passion.
Episode 8.
3, 2, 1.
Dear girl, I am a doctor. Doctor.
These go to 11.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
Did we just become best friends?
Yep!
The skeleton ran out of shampoo in the shower.
1.21 gigawatts! This is a house of learned doctors. You're not a doctor.
Welcome to the podcast, Spinal Tap, episode 8, with myself, Dr. Zach Mashinsky, and to my right, viewing left, Dr. Mitch Evenson. Welcome back. Hey.
Thank
and
you.
More importantly, our VIP of the day, Dr. Carrie Getzmier.
Thank you.
Hey.
Where's applause? Put in applause noise.
I'm here too. Thanks, Dr. Zach.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting about him.
It's okay. I just produced the whole thing and put it together.
Yes.
Just that
Gets
guy.
up early and
You're important. You're a value. I just figured everybody already knows you.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I'm
like
pretty
even
well
when you
known.
saw my family member, he's like, "Oh,
That was
that's
so
Richie.
crazy.
You're a celebrity."
Yeah. He's like, you don't know who I am. I'm like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
I do talk to the little people too, so let's chat.
what are we drinking
We
today?
just have an hour. You tell us.
A live root beer. It's got shrooms in it.
Oh,
We're basically like Aaron Rodgers.
we're just pushing off here in another 20 minutes.
Yep. So back to what we're saying.
Yes.
Dr. Carrie and I were introduced 5+ years ago, and you came in to see me when I was
Right.
working at my previous office
Correct.
for a low back injury.
Yes. So I was not healing well post spinal surgery, which
Did you get a spinal tap?
I did. Luckily, I did not get a spinal tap. Whew. But I did get part of my disc cut out of my back.
Oof.
And I mean, not ideal to have back surgery, especially not if you're a chiropractor. However, I just needed to have it done. So my disc herniation was so severe that the disc material had wrapped around my nerve. And so I had a lot of residual trauma because they had to pick off the nerve. It might have been nicked. It might have just been compressed. And so I wasn't healing. And so then I started seeing Dr. Zach, and he was adjusting me and also doing spinal decompression, which we did not have in our office. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I was seeing him consistently, regularly, and it got me back to like being able to like function and do
Yeah.
things I love again.
And through that relationship, you know, I started to utilize a lot of your skills too with the functional medicine. You guys have a big practice where you do a lot of the nutritional components, which I wasn't as well equipped with. So we
Right.
had, you know, in the years we've been referring a lot of people back and forth for the care
really
that you
great.
guys give, and she's still my go-to. I still have I got a couple people I got to send your way
Well, thank you.
after this
We
too. So
appreciate
it's been great, but we're going to be talking about a lot of different nutritional components. Particularly, we're going to be talking about immune function, chiropractic, you know, how to stay healthy, how to keep yourself healthy, and if you become unwell, how to get back
to
up,
do.
what to do. So your origin story, do you know what he's
Yeah,
like
I'm
of-
guessing so.
of chiropractic?
Like organ chiropractic. So
Yes.
I started going to a chiropractor when I was in junior high from a sports injury. And my chiropractor in small town Iowa, very small town Iowa, was one of the first chiropractors who supported supported athletes in the Olympics.
Sweet.
So I went to school to be a sports chiropractor, and I was like, that's what I was going to do. I was an athletic trainer in college. I was all focused on that. Nothing with nutrition. I was like cranking out 6 Diet Cokes a day back then. And then because I wasn't healthy and I had such exposure to Roundup, glyphosate, and toxins when I was young, and like just growing up on a farm, like I would wash my hands in gasoline because that's what you did to get the paint off your hands.
Oh, yeah.
That's why it's there.
That's why it's there. Hello. Right. So I was super unhealthy and I was seeing a chiropractor, but we didn't address those other pieces. And so then I get to chiropractic school, still not addressing other pieces. I mean, I have digestive issues. I have skin issues. I have brain, just all the things. And I graduated, and then I realized, I don't want to be on sidelines. So my business partners, who are married, Chad and Rebecca, they were doing all this stuff with nutrition and applied kinesiology. And I was like, what the? This is so crazy, whatever. So then I started learning about it and moved into it. And then started doing more cranial sacral therapy, and we started doing fascial release to work on pregnant bellies and little babies. And So much fun.
Cool.
And then, so fast forward, we had all done some functional medicine. We were doing detoxes and cleanses and applied kinesiology. But my dad was mismedicated in the hospital. So my dad had a long history of heart disease, exposure to toxins and chemicals, not officially confirmed, but Roundup-induced Parkinson's for sure. You know, like there's like 40 chemicals. The glyphosate is the highest component, but there's all these other chemicals that also are linked to Parkinson's, right?
We're not sponsored by Roundup yet, are we?
It's pending.
We're going. I have just submitted an application, so I'll retract it.
Yeah, just take that out.
Yeah, yes. This is the part where we say we're teaching you all the other things to do on the opposite of that.
That's right.
And to get rid of the damage done by it, which tons of damage, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Especially to your immune system. So, yeah, he was mismedicated in the hospital and he almost died. And so my mom and I checked him out of the hospital, drove him to our mentor, my mentor at the time, Chad and Becky too, Dr. Bob Rakowski. And back then, not everyone, like IVs are, you know, like you can get IVs, quality IVs and nutrient IVs in Minnesota now, but you couldn't back then. And so we spent 3 weeks there doing IVs and hourly doses of nutrients. And, you know, he lived like 2 more years. It was super intense. So then our whole practice just went in functional medicine because I just had this big 3-week sabbatical of learning. And, and it was like this whole next level thing.
Goosebumps.
It was crazy. What I think is most interesting is people do not understand what chiropractors do. A lot of people do not. Most of our population, in my opinion, still doesn't, right?
Yeah, crack necks and take your money.
Witch doctors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what people say.
Sometimes take your money.
We cut the head off a chicken.
Exactly.
Do
The
a rain
full
dance.
moon of every June.
Right. And then, but not July. But then again in August. No, I'm just kidding.
That's why I failed my board exam.
Dang it.
It was
that one.
not July.
But the foundation of chiropractic care is our nervous system. You know, brain turns into spinal cord, nerves come out, our spine, as we can see.
Oh, and you got to flex in there
Nerves
too.
come
Look
out.
at
Look at that
Right?
separation.
Wow.
Thanks, guys.
And then literally your nervous system controls everything in your body.
Every damn thing.
Everything in your body. So most people think of chiropractic care as, oh, I just need to go because I have back pain, neck pain. And it's like, well, the musculoskeletal part gets a lot of press because nobody wants to be in pain. But the other half of your nervous system controls everything in your body. You know, like Instagram is really into the vagus nerve right now the last few years.
It's trending, huh?
You know, it's been trending. Like your vagus nerve controls your internal organ function. So if we're stressed, like what are ways to calm our vagus nerve? Like deep breathing,
Humming.
singing, humming, dancing, meditation, you know, all these things, right?
6 Cokes.
Exactly. Hot, cold showers, you know, hot, cold
Yeah.
therapy, right? All these things that people don't realize that another way to impact your vagus nerve is to get adjusted.
Well, and even take a step back, like what's the importance of your vagus nerve? Because maybe that's not popular to whoever's listening, right? So the vagus nerve
Controls. Go ahead.
controls digestion,
Yeah.
well, pretty much all the way to our head to our diaphragm, and
lower.
everything in between.
Yeah.
So our lungs, our heart, our stomach,
Our immune
seven
system.
stomach, yeah, Yep.
Into our small intestine. It impacts our hormones. Like literally everything in our body.
And why is that important coming from a chiropractor? Like, how can you affect the vagus nerve?
Right. So if you need to get adjusted, right? So when we think about adjustments, you know, a lot of people, I think of only that, like, I have this raging pain that's not healing, or, you know, I can't stand up straight, or whatever it is. But anytime that those joints aren't moving perfectly and you need to get adjusted, as obviously, you know, as chiropractors, but for our listening viewers, anytime you need to be adjusted, it's going to negatively impact the nerve. So if the nerve is here and it impacts your vagus nerve, it's also going to impact your organ function.
Is it fair to say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas?
It actually goes
It goes
away
everywhere.
From, yeah.
It's like the opposite.
It's the opposite
What happens to Vegas happens everywhere.
everywhere.
It just follows you along.
Think of an upside
forget
down
it.
tree.
Follows
It's
you
just
along.
gonna
Yeah.
screw it up, man.
Yeah. Well, I like that. Yeah. So- you just talk about that, and it's just so unfortunate that the society is just so divisive of how your body works. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean my GI system is related to my stress? There's no relationship. Or what do you mean my shoulders or my hand hurts and I'm have this debilitating numbing tingling because like I'm eating like crap?
Yeah.
Like it's so
disconnected.
so disconnected.
Well, it's convenient to keep it disconnected because then you have to face your freaking problems usually.
Seriously.
Right.
However, I think it's bigger than that, in that we foundationally have a disease care versus a healthcare system and an education system training doctors,
100%.
medical doctors, that you can't get better. Like it is foundationally so broken at the educational level, and then the residencies and the hospitals, and then and then this, as a society, you don't get PSAs on your immune system, and you get drug ads, and that is a bigger. It's much bigger than us.
Oh yeah, systemic is
I think
correct.
Systemic.
Yeah, I think the current events in the last few years have opened the eyes to a lot of alternative options. But it's like you said, foundationally and on the education level, it's like you visit a doctor and they say like this is what you can do, and if they're not open to alternative medicine, it kind of gets pooed on pretty quickly. So,
which I always think too is funny because we call ourselves alternative, but we are the medicine and the healthcare.
Yeah,
Right.
It's backwards. Like in my mind, it's backwards.
Right. Healthcare versus sick care.
It's healthcare care versus sick care.
Right.
Is it more harmful of a title than it is helpful? Because it should be the norm.
I like alternative just because there's. I don't know. I like the context or the.
It is the alternative. I mean, I think it depends on how you want to phrase it. It can be harmful. Like it can be used in a negative connotation, like, you're going to an alternative medicine provider, right? Like, I think like depending on your intent, but it is the alternative. It's the choice in the alternative versus traditional allopathic medicine.
Right.
So it can be really, really positive. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, we're alternative medicine providers. It's amazing.
You're not a doctor. Nope, I'm a chiropractor.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Well, it reminds me of the quote of if you have Western society diet, you have Western society medications, like expect Western society diseases.
Right.
Like, sure, you can do that. You can follow all of these things. That's like the society norm and not alternative, but have the expectation that you're going to have the same stuff the rest of the society has. Heart disease, right? Number one, you're going to be, what's number 3 top of the list for deaths, medical deaths?
Well, mismedication.
Mismedication, right? So if you have that expectation that you're probably going to have the same things, then sure, go down mainstream terms instead of alternative.
Right. We are taught as a society that any response of getting sick is bad. But that's not actually what it is.
Say more about that. That's fascinating.
Body
That's
doing
good.
its job.
Your body is doing its job.
Right.
So when you get a fever, not comfortable, not ideal, can be dangerous if it's like, consistent 104, 106, over time, right? It can cause dangerous problems. However, when our body creates a fever, it is doing it to kill off the pathogens in your body. It's genius, right?
Yep.
Like that piece of like, oh, I have a runny nose. Well, yeah, because you're trying to expel the problem factor.
I love that. I
So
think it's,
we keep suppressing it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, but your body's
I have
telling you something.
Right. Oh, I have a cough, or I have a sneeze, and I have a runny nose, and I have a fever, and it's like, sweet.
Yeah.
Even like
great.
loose stools and diarrhea, like, right? Like your body's trying to tell you, or puking. I mean, it's trying to get the toxins out.
Right.
Like,
It's your body communicating something to you.
right.
And some people are numb to that. It's like, oh, this is happening.
Right.
It's like, pause and think about
Why
it.
do I feel
Yeah.
terrible?
Right.
Yeah. When patients are sick, unless they're like puking and, or it's
Gross.
like coming out both ends, right? Then maybe stay home from a sanitation perspective. However, otherwise, I mean, you have cold, flu, just come in and get adjusted. Like come in and get your nutrients so that your body can heal faster. Because as we talked about before, if you need to be adjusted, that disruption to your nervous system is going to decrease your immune function because it impacts your internal organs.
What are some easy things for folks to just be doing and taking We touched on like the vagus nerve, like,
Yeah.
manage your stress a little differently.
Manage your stress.
I mean, stress is huge. Of
Work
course.
on sleep, right? Like
Limit sugar.
Limit sugar. Yeah. If your blood sugar when your blood sugar goes over 120, like spikes up too high, it decreases your immune system response by, I think, like 75, 70, 80%. Like massively.
Yeah.
And think of how many people are addicted to sugar. Well, it's delicious. It's, they did a mouse rat study years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And
Cocaine.
more addicting than cocaine.
Really? I would. No, never mind.
More addicting than cocaine.
I'm not going to test it out now.
All right.
Theory.
Okay, so if you're in that spiral, like just make better choices of higher good quality fats and protein. Like your body is craving that sugar and that drive because it's exhausted. So like what is it? It's trying to tell you something when you're addicted to that, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then like some good exercise and movement, sleep is super important.
Well, from that book, Why We Sleep, if you ever read that.
I've not read that.
I forgot the guy.
Why do we sleep?
Matthew something.
McConaughey.
Anyways, he talks about like
Yes.
if you get less than, I think it was like less than 5 or 4 hours of sleep, it decreases your immune function by like 40 to 60%. Something like
sure.
that. So same thing. So you add on top of, if you're lacking in sleep, you crave carbs much more.
Right, because you need the quick energy.
You need the
You
quick
get caught in
energy.
the spiral.
If you ever noticed that. It's just,
Well, and it's interesting because, and we haven't talked about like gut health yet, right? But our gut health is super important for making the right brain neurotransmitters and having good, happy, healthy brain chemistry for our skin, for our immune response, for allergies, skin, all of those things, absorption of nutrients. And people can get a leaky gut very easily. And like a leaky gut, your immune system in your small intestine, you have they're supposed to tight junctions, right? The cells are supposed to be close together. And then you have these little microvilli where you absorb your nutrients. And if that's out of balance, it's basically like like our last winter. It froze and then it rained and then it froze and the potholes were out of control. And that can happen inside you. So then you're not absorbing your nutrients. You're not feeling as good. So that's the purpose of why we make different choices with nutrients to help heal your lining, to boost your immune function, to be more supportive in that way. One of the things with sleep is your melatonin is made in your gut mostly. So sleep can sometimes be a gut problem, and blue light will deplete melatonin.
where does blue light come from?
Yeah, I mean, we don't
never
know about
around
that
any.
at all, right?
Never heard of her.
So, like the glasses, that's why we say get off your devices before bed, like that kind of stuff. The medical world is trained to think of things as like black and white.
Mm-hmm.
This blood test is off, you need to take this. This is off. And that's not how health works.
It's not how your body works.
It's not how your body works. However, there's always exceptions to the rule. And with omega-3 and vitamin D, if you're low, you just have to take it. And omega-3s, we can't make them. We literally have to take them either by eating fish, which now we've poisoned our ocean, so we can't eat fish every day, or you have to take a good quality omega-3 supplement.
Also, I was reading something. I kind of remember this from school too. But don't you also need magnesium to help absorption of vitamin D?
Yeah.
It's a cofactor of some kind.
Yeah. Magnesium is a
it's
super
like an
huge
enzyme
cofactor of everything.
Yeah. Right. I mean, magnesium's huge. I mean, we tell people all the time, like,
Everybody needs
I don't
magnesium.
know. Yeah, do I need magnesium? Yes.
Yes. Magnesium is depleted, one of the first nutrients massively depleted with stress.
Right.
So we think of magnesium as just of like, oh my gosh, my tight muscles in recovery, but it's also necessary for your hormone function, brain function.
Like everything.
Yeah. And like this, if people ever get bumps here, 90+% of the time, that's omega-3 deficiency.
I feel like you always have those bumps.
And if you're taking a good quality omega-3 and it does not improve.
How big are these bumps?
Oh yeah, not those bumps. Not those bumps.
I need more omega-3s.
But they will build with omega-3s because it helps with muscle recovery and decreased inflammation.
Wow.
Except for fish oil and vitamin D. When you start individualizing every little nutrient, I mean, it's a lot. It's real stressful.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
There's a reason that there's combos. And there are different things in different combos that you do take one-offs and you take it just by itself. But what's great is like really high quality companies that used to be only available. You know, there were no quality companies or quality nutrients that you could get unless you got them from a provider when I started in practice. Because I've been in practice 23 years. So when we started, you could only get it from a chiropractor, a naturopath, or the rare random MD that also did nutrition. Right? You could only get it from them. You could never get something online. There was no social media. I mean, we barely had email. I mean, you know what I mean? It just wasn't, we didn't have dial-up. Sure. You know, it just was what it was, right? Okay, so then what my challenge is for all of your patients.
This is a challenge.
Is to do
Dr.
a 30-day
Carrie
challenge and switch out your coffee cup for cup. So what we love about healthy coffee is that your daily habit then just improves your immune system. So it helps decrease your inflammation, which helps you recover better from musculoskeletal pain. So a 30-day challenge of switching out your favorite, how you drink your coffee cup for cup.
Like what can people typically, like what should they look for in a change, if any?
That's a good question.
That is a great question. The biggest change that people notice is they don't have spikes and crashes. So some people get jittery off coffee or can get like heartburn. So that's the biggest change. Other patients have noticed like improved immune function, meaning like, oh, ever since I switched this, I don't get sick the same way. You know, some improved skin, improved digestion. So those are the biggest things. But because what we love is that Ganoderma, also known as reishi, it helps modulate, meaning like turn off or turn down inflammation by 11 different ways. And it's antimicrobial, meaning it kills viruses and bacteria and helps with mold and fungus. So your daily habit then just becomes a healthier habit.
You know, one of the things that we're talking about as kids are getting back to school, like
Yes.
we're kind of talking about like generally like adults, kids.
Same thing goes,
Same
but
thing,
in smaller
right.
quantities.
Right. So maybe vitamin D.
Vitamin D can come in a liquid form.
Right. Too.
There's also
It's just-
not for kids because it's too strong, but Thieves Essential Oil by Young Living
Yep.
is a liquid, right? But they have a Thieves spray
Yep.
that is designed for countertops. But we use it as a throat spray all the time. And it's like a classic go-to.
Point of order. We have a patient.
Yeah, we should probably wrap it up. And that
Let's
was,
wrap it up.
I think, a
Perfect.
good
Good.
place. Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. And that's a wrap
On the
on the
tap.
tap.
This is a house of learned doctors. You're not a doctor.
I wish